6th of November, 2024. Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers dropping the puck on a 3-game road trip. Tough week of hockey ahead. But you're going to have this. It's a tough league. As they go to Carolina to begin this 3-game homestand, that'll see them in Carolina last night, Tampa on Thursday, Florida on Saturday before coming home Monday, and 7 of their next 9 at home. Beginning with the San Jose Sharks on Monday. But last night in Carolina, they come away with a 6-4 defeat against the Canes. And let's get the really alarming part out of the way right off the hop. 3 shots on goal in the second period, 3 shots on goal in the third period. Yeah, they scored 4 goals. And I always say the NHL is a race to 4 league. They score 4 goals. They score 4 goals on 16 shots. Not a good save percentage game for Pyotr Kochetkov, as it's a .750 save percentage. They score on 1 of every 4 shots they get. But you cannot survive with getting just 3 shots on goal, 6 shots in the final 2 periods. It's just not a recipe that's going to be sustainable to get wins. By my count, that is now 6 periods, 2 full games, where they had 3 shots in a period. It's happened 6 times in a specific period, and we're only 13 games in. That's an alarming number. And this is coming from somebody in me that preaches quantity or quality over quantity when it comes to shots. But there's a tipping point. 3 shots in the second, 3 shots in the third. It's not even about the shots. It's about the fact that they only gotten 3 on 6 periods this season. What does that tell you? They're just not in the offensive zone nearly enough. Just not. Now, you're playing Carolina, one of the best possession and transition teams in the NHL. No doubt about that. Carolina ends up with 35 shots on goal. They attempted another 32. So, by my count, that's 67 shots that they attempted in the game. Flyers ended up with 16 shots on goal. I'm not sure how many they attempted, but nowhere near what Carolina did. And you see the 6-4 final. Flyers give up 5 goals and the empty netter. And I look at Kolosov and people go, well, 6-4 loss, goaltending must not have been good. I thought he was good in the game. He was under constant assault all around the blue paint in that game. There's one goal I didn't like. The third goal from Carolina, I didn't love it. Went through him, went through his arm, kind of under his armpit. But overall, I thought he was good in the game. And we're going to talk about him more in a minute. Flyers opened the scoring, 7:54 into the hockey game, 5-on-3 man advantage. I think they went 4 games without a power play goal. And they went 0 for their last 12 before getting this one, the 5-on-3 man advantage goal from Travis Konechny. And the thing that I love about this goal, and it's something we talked about in yesterday's episode, is when you attack the other team, you got to move into the middle of the ice. And what does Matvei Michkov do? He curls off, comes right into the middle. When he comes into the middle of the ice, it opens up all kinds of options. Options for a team defending sucks. If the offensive team has options, the other team's got to defend the options. And the more options you have, the more likely you are to get a good situation offensively. Now, he takes the shot, and it kind of gets knocked down and rattled around off Owen Tippett and ends up at the feet of Konechny, and he slams it in for the 5-on-3 power play goal that puts the Flyers up 1-0. But it all happens because Michkov moves to the middle of the ice. Flyers up 1-0. At 7:54 into the period. Then 14:25, Jackson Blake gets a beauty of a pass from Jack Drury down below the goal line, just a backhand pass. Zamula got caught going behind the net when he should have gone in front of the net to take away Jackson Blake, who was in front all by himself. He's able to beat Kolosov, and we've got a 1-1 game after 1 period of play. Head into the second, and then there's 54 seconds where the Flyers get touched up not once but twice. Eric Robinson and then Jordan Martinook scores to make it 3-1, and now you've had 2 goals close together, a game that you led 1-0, and now it's 3-1. Where are you going to go here? This is a gut check time in the game. Are you going to pack it in and fade away in this game, go down 4-1, and then maybe battle back like you did against Montreal, but you dug the hole too deep? Or are you going to battle back like you did against Seattle, but you dug the hole too deep? And look what happens with those teams when Seattle goes up 5-2, or the Montreal Canadiens go up 4-1, or Washington goes up big on you and you battle back, is they let their foot off the gas. So you don't even know if it's real. Like when you're coming back in those games, if it's actually real, it's just you trying to come back and the other team going, we kind of got this one. Maybe a huge lead. So you don't even know. Anyway, Flyers choose to keep battling. They even it out a little bit again. And then at 13:30, a goal that Owen Tippett has been waiting to score this season. His first goal of the year came on a play where Sean Couturier was net front, took the goalie's eyes away. It wasn't a particularly great shot or anything like that. It just ended up being a seeing eye shot, ends up in the back of the net. This one is an absolute snipe. And the way he moved into the middle of the ice, I thought was tremendous. He looked like the player that goes, I'm really big, I'm really strong, I'm really fast, I got a good shot, and I'm going to work my way to the middle of the ice. That's the kind of game I thought that he had in the game. He had 4 shots in the first period, did Tippett, ended up with 6 in the game, and that's the kind of game you need to see a little bit more of. One where he kind of just says, you know what, I'm a big boy and I can skate and I'm powerful. I got to power my way to the middle. But anyway, he gets that goal at 13:30. Konechny and Couturier with the assist. And that's an important goal because it gets the Flyers within 1 to go into the third period. And then 1:18 into the third, I think Morgan Frost did everything in his power to not score into this empty net. It is definitely not the prettiest goal he's going to ever score in the NHL. He ends up completely whiffing on it with the wide open net, but it hits off his shin pad and goes in. So you'll take it. But it was ugly. Frost's first of the season gets the game tied at 3 early into the third period. Sanheim and Konechny with the assist. So by my count, that's Konechny with a power play goal. That's Konechny with a primary assist on Tippett's goal, a secondary assist on the Morgan Frost goal, 3-3 game. But then just seconds later, 34 seconds later, Roslovic scores, and now the Canes are back up by a goal. These little the 2 goals that are scored in 54 seconds in the second period, and then that minute after you score a goal to get the game tied, go ahead, or get within a goal is so important. And we saw this 2 years ago. We saw it 3 years ago with Alain Vigneault here. That next shift is so important, and the Flyers give up a goal on Roslovic's 7th, and now they're down a goal again. But at 9:17, they battle back, and it's Konechny again. And this is just a good forecheck. It's coming in layers. It's Konechny and Couturier, and it forces the turnover. Konechny kind of drops it off, and Couturier eventually drops it off, a backhand behind his back pass to Konechny, who I think was going to try and get that puck, gather it, and try and deke out Kochetkov. Turns out he just got a little bit of a piece of it and wasn't able to corral it, but it changed the trajectory, and it just kind of dribbles through Kochetkov. Konechny's second of the game, 4 points in the game for Konechny. He's got a 5-point game this season as well, the game against Minnesota. So that's his 7th of the season, 4-4 game. And then you're getting down in the final minute. You're on the road. You want to play just at least get it to overtime, get a point, start off the trip with at least a point, and take your chances in overtime or the shootout. But at 19:29, 31 seconds left, Martin Necas gets his 7th of the season. The Canes just had the Flyers pinned in their zone, running around. They couldn't get it out. Canes doing what they do, just winning the possession battle and just keep pouring on the pressure. And eventually, Necas gets the goal, his 7th of the season. He's the hottest player in the NHL. And if the Canes go up 5-4, and then they get an empty netter with 2 seconds left, Seth Jarvis picks that up, and the Flyers fall 6-4 against the Carolina Hurricanes. So, again, some good things to take out of the game, some things that they got to leave in Carolina. But when we've seen 6 total periods this season with 3 shots on goal total per period, that's really alarming. Now, this trip last year, they played decent against these teams last year, Carolina, Florida, and Tampa. They played a total last year of 10 games against Carolina. They played Carolina 4 times, they played Tampa 3 times, and they played Florida 3 times. They had a 1-2-1 record against the Canes last year, got 3 points of a possible 8. They had a 1-2-0 record against Tampa, only got 2 points. And then against Florida, they had 2-1 record. And they won both the games actually in Florida 2-1. 9 points of a possible 20, a record of 4-5-1 against these teams. So the battle continues coming up on Thursday against Tampa after the Flyers drop this one against the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, you look at the average, Carolina leads the NHL with 35.9 shots on goal per game. They had 35 last night, so they're right on their number. The Flyers in the NHL this season, when it comes to average shots on goal coming into the game, 25.7. They were a team that generated 30 shots last year. 25.7. This is alarming what is happening. And the other thing that's alarming is these second periods. They get outscored 2-1 in the second in this game. They've given up 22 second period goals this season through 13 games and have scored 8. Got to resolve this second period. Oddly enough, it was their best period a year ago. It's their worst period by a landslide this year. And that's even considering third periods where they've had empty net goals scored against them. Multiple in one game. So they've got to find a way to move forward here. Owen Tippett, best game of the season. He needs to build on it. No doubt about it. Alexei Kolosov, a couple things on Kolosov. I still think he's defaulting down too quickly into the butterfly. It's causing him to have to stretch for plays sometimes. If he would just stay on his feet a little longer, he could get there on his edges, and he wouldn't be stretching in the butterfly to reach for pucks. That's number 2. There are some really obvious, very obvious patterns and likenesses to the way he plays the position to the way Sergei Bobrovsky plays. Number 1, the way he just moves in his crease. How low he gets on pucks with his chin down, his head down, how wide his stance is, and the way he pushes and moves around the net, both on his edges and in the butterfly. That's number 1. A real big something I noticed in the last couple of games is he likes to employ something called a double seal. On pucks that are below the goal line behind him, when the puck's behind the net, the goalie's kind of looking on each side, and he's in the butterfly. Some goalie, you'll be leaned slightly more to the right if the puck is favoring that. That's the strong side. He's a guy that gets more in the middle, and there's a skate on each post. Now, he doesn't have the longest legs in the world, but he can get his legs out, and it's called a double seal. He's sealing both posts, but if the puck were to come to his left side, he would then migrate there a little bit, or the right side migrate to that side a little bit. But it's called a double seal. Very Sergei Bobrovsky. As a matter of fact, I think Bobrovsky was probably the first guy to use it in the NHL, and only a few guys use it now. So you can see that. And then the other thing, I mean, just even as far as the way he grips his stick, he comes really far down onto the paddle. If this is the paddle of the stick, he doesn't just hold it at the knob at the top. He comes down and grips it on top of the paddle. You can see his blocker almost covers the top of the logo on the stick. Bobrovsky shaves that down so he can get really far down on the paddle as well. I have no idea why. I don't know what benefit that is for them other than to shorten the paddle so you can get down lower on pucks. But both do that. So you can see the similarities in Kolosov's game to Bobrovsky. Now, he's got a long way to go to get to where Bobrovsky is. Bobrovsky's one of the elite goalies in the NHL. Works his rear end off. I mean, takes his fitness and everything so incredibly seriously. And is a massive competitor, Bobrovsky. And he's got the success to back it up. And that takes time. That'll take time for Kolosov. From what I understand about Kolosov, and I haven't spoken to him yet, doesn't speak a lot of English, but he is a really intense competitor as well. So we'll see where this goes. But you can see probably even more so the similarities in his game to Bobrovsky than you could see when Carter Hart was here with Carey Price. Like when you watched Hart, he moved like Carey Price. He emulated his game after him. Efficiency in movement, smoothness, getting to your spot, set and square. Kolosov, more explosive, down on pucks, reading plays, battling in. You know, those kind of things. Looks a lot more like Bobrovsky. You can see the similarities. They're very pronounced if you just know what to look for. So we'll see where that goes. He's going to have to make some adjustments, too. You know, sometimes if you're down too early, you're going to get rung up high. Like the third goal that Carolina scores in that game goes through him. You got to eliminate those goals. Nothing through you as a goalie. Last thing I want to get to in this episode was I was having a tweet exchange with a Flyers fan, and we were kind of geeking out about the goalies. It's Jared, who I messaged with quite a bit. And he had said something at the end of his message to me. He said, They didn't get fooled by last year, meaning the Flyers. They're sticking with the plan. And that phrase of they didn't get fooled by last year, they're sticking with the plan. It just like resonated in my brain. And I said, what does that mean? Was this year and the result that we've seen so far this year, and the result has not been great. But was that always kind of the expectation of where they would be at this time? And last year was the outlier? I mean, they're 13 games in. They have a record of 4-8-1. They're in the bottom spot in the division. Did last year's success, albeit I don't think it was a bad thing to have that success, but did it cloud that we were going to go on this incremental upward trajectory for this Flyers team? And this is more likely of where they are and would be right now, because they haven't gotten into the trade market yet. They have not gotten in the free agency market yet. Yeah, they are dealing with some injuries early this season. Mishkov did get here early, all those things. But was this the most likely spot anyway, despite last year? You know, the phrase that Jared used is, they didn't get fooled by last year. They were never pushing all in for this year. They can't because of the money situation, the cap, the fiscal element of it. And the sticking with the plan was, getting through this year, having the dead money come off the books, then start to make some moves with all of these draft picks that you have, all of this organizational equity that you have. Get into the free agent market, get into the trade market, find out a little bit more about guys like Frost, Forster, Farabee, and others, and see where you are. Maybe that was the plan. Maybe I got ahead of myself thinking, hey, they had 87 points last year, played all the way to game 82 with a playoff hope. Can they get to the next level? Although I didn't pick them to make the playoffs this year. They didn't get fooled by last year. They're sticking with the plan. Love to get people's thoughts on that. All right, tomorrow we'll preview Flyers Bolts as the Flyers road trip continues. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow with another brand new Flyers Daily.